How's it going, everyone? College Lefty, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the glitchiest abilities to use in Madden 21. I'm going to be talking a lot about abilities that light up when they most likely should not, as well as some of the most dominant abilities in the game. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to mainly talk about offensive abilities and the most effective ones, as well as a few defensive abilities, but for the most part I'll just have a few miscellaneous clips on defense. But for the most part, I do have a pretty good team. I have spent a couple $100 in Madden. I wanted to use a few different squads in this video, so you will see a variety of players, but I am going to talk about the specific abilities I'm using. Now on Bo Jackson, I have backfield mismatch and recuperation. I'm going to be comparing that a little bit to backfield master. And I also have Gunslinger on Michael Vick. I'm going to be comparing that Gunslinger ability to Brett Favre a little bit as well. A lot of these abilities that I use on my offense should not be activating like they are with the way I'm using them. So I will be explaining a little bit about that, but Matchup Nightmare is probably the best wide receiver ability that you can use, simply because it lights up when there's not even a linebacker on the field. And we'll show that, we'll show examples of that here in this video, as well as examples of it working correctly as well. So with that being said, Route Technician and Slot Apprentice are probably the two abilities that I use that are very dominant and very effective in the game, but these are not necessarily as glitchy as some of the other offensive abilities that I'm using. Those light up consistently, but not when they're not supposed to activate, like some of the other ones. Now on the defensive side, I just use 3 one-step aheads and 3 acrobats because of the way the AP points have been increased, as well as the abilities like acrobat on defensive backs or certain ones have been increased as well. The glitchiest ability in the game in terms of defense would be mid-zone KO, because that lights up when it should not and it activates when it should not as well. But for my defensive scheme, I'm not very good at this game. I really have no idea what I'm doing on defense. I run a lot of basic man coverage, and I make a few adjustments here and there to my line, the way I'm shading, and things like that. But as far as actually playing this game, I'm pretty much clueless, so I try to use the abilities that seem to work best for my playstyle. Now, as an honorable mention are a few abilities that I did not really talk about. I'm going to be showing a combination of Pocket Deadeye that lights up with Gunslinger, even though that was a lob pass, as well as Slotomatic lighting up on bubble screens and certain things like that. Such as drag routes. I really like using those two abilities, and I had success with those abilities earlier on. Now that I've kind of upgraded my team in terms of Randy Moss, Deion Sanders, and Andre Johnson, the max level 80 reward, I'm going to go ahead and use those players now. But if you notice, Matchup Nightmare will light up on a bubble screen to Randy Moss. It will light up on a streak route. It will light up on a corner route. It will light up pretty much on every single route, regardless if there's a linebacker in sight. Now, in the previous clip, there was Lawrence Taylor nearby. This clip, it's just Deion Sanders, and he's getting mossed by Randy Moss right there. Definitely a good play that he could make in real life if they went up against each other. But at the same time, you know, that's an unrealistic grab. Here is another example. Same exact thing. Tyrann Mathieu, the safety, a bunch of cornerbacks and a bunch of safeties nearby. But that Matchup Nightmare is lighting up. Now, Route Technician and slot routes are definitely needed in my offense. It's really overpowered and really dominant in terms of the game, but it's not lighting up or activating when it's not supposed to. So in my opinion, it's not necessarily a glitchy ability, but it is very effective, and you will see that here in these clips. I'm using a few different receivers, such as Julio Jones and Deion Sanders out of position, wide receiver. And having that combination of Deion Sanders and Randy Moss are really the only two wide receivers that I'm using consistently. In this particular gameplay, I'm using the George Kittle 1 AP tight end apprentice, but I don't really use a tight end lined up at the tight end position that often. In the previous clip, we're talking about, you know, a few offensive abilities that light up when they're not supposed to. I'm going to compare backfield master to backfield mismatch, and recuperation will also come into play there, but I mainly want to focus on the ability that Reggie Bush has for 1 AP. Obviously, Alvin Kamara would probably be the better option in terms of attributes and this archetype of a receiving back. But Bo Jackson, 97 overall, the one you can get for 30-something thousand training if you already have him powered up to the most expensive tier, then, I mean, he's very effective. This backfield mismatch is going to light up just like Backfield Master, except you just don't get the 4 extra hot routes. But if you're using someone like Rich Gannon, who has Hot Route Master and Gunslinger, Bo Jackson is incredible. I mean, here he's lined up as like a wide receiver / tight end or in that spot. And on the previous play, he lit up on a drag route. This particular play, he's not going to light up on this out route, but he does still make the play, and he does run the route pretty effectively, getting past Sean Taylor there. So with that being said, I'm going to show another example of him lighting up on the drag from that same exact spot. But I wanted to kind of show you that these abilities are activating when they're not really supposed to be. Here from the backfield, he is going to activate. Kind of got a suction tackle right there. For the most part, I just wanted to show you some highlights, some miscellaneous highlights, but those are really the most effective abilities, or I guess the glitchiest abilities activating when they're not supposed to. And that's kind of effective in Madden. In a game that's based off of abilities and predominantly, you know, speed for the most part, you want to use those abilities in your advantage and take advantage of what's going on in the game. Now, the one thing I didn't really talk about is mid-zone KO, but that's because I don't really use it. That thing will light up on pretty much every single mid-pass that's thrown by your opponent on defense, and those players will have instant reactions to the football in that sense. For this particular clip, or these few clips here, I'm just showing you why I don't really use Escape Artist. I have a 99 speed, 99 acceleration Michael Vick because of my 25 Falcons, 25 Raiders theme team. Now, in this particular video, you did see, you know, a variety of teams. I used Josh Allen, I used Brett Favre, I was using 25 Falcons, 25 Cardinals. I also swapped over to 25 49ers, 25 Cardinals. I mixed it up a little bit. So with that being said, you know, for the most part, I'm using the same abilities on just different players. For example, at the beginning of the video, I was using, you know, DK Metcalf, a physical archetype wide receiver, and he gets matchup nightmare for 1 AP rather than Randy Moss, who gets it for 2 AP. You know, certain guys like Andre Johnson, same type of thing. He would get it for 1. And I'm just using players that can give me other abilities at different positions, or you have the right archetype to get those abilities at the cheapest amount. So with that being said, you know, I know a lot of people will probably already know a lot of these things, but I kind of wanted to talk about abilities because in a previous video, you know, I talked about an ability glitch. I talked about how you can actually activate your abilities if your team is getting messed up in that way. And in this video, I wanted to talk about abilities that are activating when they probably shouldn't. And I don't know if they will patch some of these abilities. They have been activating in this way for many months now. You know, I could have made this exact same video 2 months ago. But, you know, these abilities are really good, and a lot of people are using them. It's a part of the meta. And, of course, there are other abilities that are a part of the meta that I did not mention in this video. But I wanted to mainly just focus on some of the ones that I've found are the most effective for the way that I play. I also don't, you know, I don't know the plays all that great. I don't have an ebook. I just kind of just freestyle, run the plays, see what works, and try and adjust from there. I've used a few different playbooks, and I kind of just pick these abilities that fit those plays that I like using. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I'm College Lefty. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.